CBS Sports, your home for the NFL and Thursday Night Football, SEC football, and the Masters. The PGA Championship and PGA Tour, March Madness, and the CBS Sports family of networks. And your home for Super Bowl 50. CBS Sports. Expect it here.
Welcome to Kissimmee here today at Osceola County Stadium. It's Championship Sunday of Nationwide Conference USSSA. Precision taking on Resmondo, and a lot on the line here in the conference championship as we take out the regular season point standings. It was Smash It Sports winning the regular season title, but with a win today, Resmondo would get 175 points. That would put them in first place in the #1 seed at the Men's Major World Series, as well as Precision. They're trying to move up and get in front of Backman for the #3 seed and also win a title. As we welcome you to our broadcast, so glad to have you with us alongside former Hall of Famer Don Cooper. I'm Bernie Gunther. Well, Coop, so much on the line and a big moment here for Precision. They're trying to win this championship.
Yeah, it'd be a huge statement for them to step up here and show that they could win on a stadium and carry that momentum into the Major World Series.
And probably the hardest thing for them, they have to look out for Greg Cannell. What a year he had, record-breaking in Conference USSSA.
Yeah, absolutely epic season. We were speaking earlier, it's probably have to go back to 1987 with Mike Masinko to even have a comparison. Not only is he a great offensive player, his defense has come so far clearly the best player in the game.
Well, Precision is going to win this championship today. Obviously, they're going to need a big performance by one of their veterans, Brett McCullum. He's hoping to lead Precision to their first ever conference title.
Great addition to their lineup. Veteran guy, big power, plays multiple defensive positions, and I think he was one of the big game changers that came to their team this year.
Should be a good one today. It's Resmondo taking on Precision. The Nationwide Conference USSSA Championship coming your way next on the CBS Sports Network. Nationwide Conference USSSA on the CBS Sports Network is brought to you by Nationwide, on your side. Pumbaa, official footwear supplier of USSSA. And by Louisville Slugger. If you want major power, grab the Super Z. Welcome back to Osceola County Stadium. It's Championship Sunday of Nationwide Conference USSSA. Precision and Resmondo, they have survived. And this should be quite a battle. Precision and Resmondo met yesterday, and Precision got the win, so they need just one win to win the championship. Pumbaa starting lineups looks like this. Matt Rear leading things off. He's followed by Keith Lasky, Brett McCullum third. It's Bilodeau, an outstanding young player, hitting fourth. Kirkwood, Stewart, Bergmeyer, Blackburn, Fisher, and Andy Vidkat. He's one of the best pitchers, young pitchers in this conference, but he's going up against the veteran and the Hall of Famer Andy Purcell. He's a 10-time Major World Series champion, and many say that he is the greatest of all time.
I don't think anyone that says he's not hasn't watched much. He's clearly the greatest pitcher that's ever played the game. He's played through the open home run era into the limited home run era. I don't think there's anyone better.
Matt Rear leading things off. He's going to base it down the right field line, although Matt can't make the play. And Matt Rear is going to go into second. This is what Precision did yesterday against Resmondo. They had hit after hit after hit, and they scored 7 runs in the first inning.
And that's their game. I mean, they're an A team that's a clear tweener. Many of us think that they should be a major team, that they probably will be next year, but they don't have the power to sit in here and match the likes of Greg Cannell and B.J. Folk and so forth. But what they do is they play the game well. They throw it all over the yard. They've almost got 10 or 11 guys that seem to be the same player.
This team for Precision, there are many levels of slope. It's the World Series champions a year ago. As you see Keith Lasky down the left field line, he's going to drive home Matt Rear for the first run of the game. And the co-MVP last year at the B World Series, he's sitting at second with an RBI double.
Yeah, they were. I believe they were also the runner-up in the A World. So you're a situation where you got a team that won the B Worlds, in the finals of the A Worlds, and here they are in the final of the conference championship. It proves that there's many ways to win this game. It doesn't all have to be off of power. Or it can be won in a lot of different ways. But here is one of their power guys.
Brett McCullum at the plate. He's coming off his best performance of the year. He hit 80 home runs this season. He hit 800 as an on-base percentage, and going for his first home run. This one is deep. Andrew Collins plays it and makes the catch at the wall. Lasky is on his way to third, but McCullum is retired for the first out.
He's all over it right here. Just this is the case. Just missed it just enough. I think he kind of knew it when he hit it. He missed it. And Andrew Collins, a first-year player with Resmondo, outstanding left fielder, had it all the way. Probably it didn't even have to jump. He thought it was carrying a little bit further, but that's one of the bright futures for the Resmondo team right there.
Good season of the conference for Davis Bordello out of Tampa, Florida. It's an hour and a half from where we are here, and he's trying to bring in the second run, and he will. This is a gapper. He's going to come in as Bordello on his way to second, and he's going to head to third.
Outstanding swing by Davis there. You know, Davis has quite a history in the game. Going back to his dad, was a member of the Big Red Machine with the Cincinnati Reds. His mom was a world-class tennis player, and he's an interesting young man. He's a college pitcher, got drafted, turned himself into a heck of an outfielder, and on his spare time, he's a bridge engineer.
An impressive start for Precision. They've scored 2 runs. They play 7 innings here in this championship. That's off the glove of Andy Purcell. He can't catch it. That one hit about as well as you can ask. Smoke back up the middle, and that's one of the things that has separated Andy Purcell over the years. Let's check out the mic of Andy Purcell. He's mic'd up here on that last catch. Like 7 innings here in this championship. That's off the glove of Andy Purcell. He can't catch it. That one hit about as well.
Yeah, one of the things we'll see here too is when you're playing in these stadiums, the other issue with it, as we saw, it's double, double, double. The gaps are so big. If you get it anywhere out there, what looks like could be a singles turn quickly into a double.
Stewart finds the gap. Greg Cannell was inching towards first base, and Dan Kirkwood is going to come in to score from second. This is very reminiscent of what we saw yesterday, where Precision winning the winner's bracket final against Resmondo. It was a classic game. It took 10 innings to decide in a back-and-forth effort, but it all started with that 7-run first inning.
Yeah, they kind of lived on that 7 runs the whole day, and had Resmondo chase them. And obviously, they're looking to repeat that here. But again, we're seeing what they do. They're playing the game. They're finding the gaps. They're hitting the holes. They're not trying to blow it out of this big place on a hot, humid day. And they're playing the game right now.
Bergmeyer, a line drive single over the glove of Greg Cornell. And Stewart slides in at third, and he's out. A little greedy there, trying to take the extra base.
That's the mistake. You never want to fault a guy for hustle. And Stewart, for a big man, always hustles, and he plays the game the right way. But one of the things you can't do here, you got any going, is to make that out, especially at third base. Nice job by Mr. Salas. That's a big man. That's a big man trying to get there. And what's the old, we never make the first or third out at third, but in slow pitch we don't ever make the second one, because obviously here in most cases you're clearly in scoring position. And
Robert Blackburn at the plate has a big second out, because Precision really had the base hits going for him.
It's one of those ones, even though it's the top of the first, we may want to throw an asterisk next to it and see what happens here with Mr. Blackburn, and see how that carries through the rest of this game. Robo was a mid-season addition for him.
Right back to Andy Purcell. They'll tag the bag at first. They'll retire the side. Precision scores 4. Resmondo coming to the plate for the first time when we come back to Kissimmee. The number 2 seed Resmondo coming to the plate for the first time here in the bottom of the first. Dennis Rulli leads off this lineup as we check out the starters for Resmondo, presented by Boomba. It's Rulli, Cronell, Andy Purcell. Jimmy Salas is in the cleanup spot today. Bubba Mack, BJ Falk, DiDonatis, Collins, Eisenhower, Nick Santana, and Howie Krause rounds out the lineup for Resmondo, who will bat 11 today against Eddie Vitgat. And you take a look at what he has done. He has really evolved his game on the mound.
Yeah, it used to be there was a clear-cut number 1 we've talked about over the years, Bernie, that Andy was 1 and there we didn't know who was 2. There was a big pile, and I think Andy's clearly separated himself now into that 2 category and trying to close the gap on Mr. Purcell. But that's a tough gap to close.
Dennis Rulli grounds it to Dennis Fisher. It's a good start for Andy Vidcat, and it's one of the big keys is this Resmondo offense. It's a lot different than what we saw for Precision. We saw base hit, base hit, base hit for the 4 runs in the first, but Resmondo, they have so much power, including this player right here, Greg Cannell. He's the first in conference history to win the Triple Crown, and on top of that, he finished with 133 home runs. That's the most ever in the 10-year conference history.
Yeah, as we talked in the Open, I think we have to go back and talk about things like 1987 with Mike Masinko. Of course, the rules were different there, and it was open home run ball all the time, but we see.
This one deep to center field. Dan Kirkwood tracking it on
We have a catch.
the warning track.
Connie misses one 405 feet to center field there, but he had one of the best years, if not the best year overall in the history of the game. We have there's a swing right there. You can see just off the end a little bit, and he'd also touch a little bit of bad course management. It's only 390 over in the left center field gap. That ball's well out of here there, but he's just an outstanding player, and he's turned himself not only into that you win a Triple Crown, but you're a Gold Glove playing second baseman on top of that. It's pretty darn impressive.
On here. Okay, here we go.
Trying to get a quick inning. Andy Purcell at the plate. He's going for it all. Biladello deep back at the wall, and this one does get out. Resmondo with their first home run of the contest. They are allotted 12 home runs today.
Yeah, I don't think, we've talked about, take a quick look at Andy's swing there. Obviously, that's where you want it down the barrel a little bit. Great swing by Mr. Purcell. Normally we talk about course management and home run management. The way it's playing today, this humidity, this big a ballpark, I doubt that the 12 home runs will come into play. So until they get to 5 or 6 or 7 for sure, they're just going to go up there and hit it, and they'll worry about home runs a little bit later in the count. Mr. Salas with a double. There's a little bit of precision ball there.
Slides in safely.
We have time.
Jimmy, a Southern California young man's really turned himself. He was one of the first when Resmondo started their kind of a roster turnover a couple of years ago. One of the first young players they brought in, and now he's one of their veterans as they've brought in Andrew Collins and Nick Santana and some of the other guys, but really turned himself into not only was always a Gold Glove caliber third baseman, now he's a top offensive player as well.
Here's Bubba Mack. He's played in all 10 seasons of Nationwide Conference USSSA as well. Keith Lasky backhands this one across the diamond. Some great defense for Precision, and Resmondo only able to score a run. The home run by Andy Purcell makes it 4-1 after an inning of play here in Kissimmee.
Welcome back to Osceola County Stadium. Precision leading Resmondo 4-1. Well, Resmondo has been a staple in the Nationwide Conference for the last 9 years, but Precision in their 3 short years has definitely made a name for themselves. They won the B World Series last year. They came in second at the A World Series and 4th in the Men's Major World Series. Earlier this season, Resmondo and Precision faced off at an early morning Sunday game for the Losers Bracket Championship at the Smoky Mountain Classic. Precision got the better of that one, but talking with Resmondo's players before the start of this game, they promised that today's outcome would be different. Bernie?
Well, Kristen, you take a look at this Resmondo team. This is a big year, by the way, for Smash It Sports. It didn't make it to this championship game. It's the first time that Resmondo did not win the regular season, so Smash It Sports, an impressive wire-to-wire win for them during conference play.
Okay, here we go.
And, you have both these teams in some ways with a chip on the shoulder. Resmondo trying to get the win here in the conference because they want the #1 seed at the Men's Major World Series that we'll have on CBS Sports Network. And for this Precision team, this is a team that has been on the up and up. The B World Series, they continue to get better. This would be the next logical step to win the conference championship.
Yeah, and it'd be a big step. I think one of the things people have said about them is that they can win on 300s, no problem.
Okay, here we go.
They showed up at the Smoky and got all the way there. I think shocked some people there, playing with some open home run rules on a little bit bigger parks. But if they win here, I think they've made the statement they're here to stay.
Let's go get it. You got room.
Dennis Fisher has popped up, and it's going to be caught.
Got a catch.
Near the fence by Jeremy Eisenhower.
And I think it's a big statement as well.
Don't worry about it. I'm going to come back.
With Resmondo, you're trying to get the #1 seed.
Right.
And it's always nice to have the 1 seed, but also how it works out is when you play a tournament like this at Disney, you're playing on basically one field. So the 1 seed kind of gets to pick their game times. When the tradition is, the one team gets their game times, this 2 seed gets theirs. So Resmondo's very regimented. They're used to that schedule. They knew when they were going to play. So for them to come back and win this and get the seed, I think means a lot to them.
Good start.
like we said, how impressive was it for the Resmondo team? So the 10th year of it, they've were the champions all 9 years.
Andy Vidkat. You talk about, not always the power for the pitcher, but he's showing a little power there, but just foul.
His game's come a long ways. Obviously, we talk about his pitching, but his offense has come quite a ways. He's just missed this little hook snap here for those golfers, but he had the distance just a little quick. But I think we have Resmondo, FBI.
All right, here we go.
The FBI Fence Brokers team out of Team Combat.
That's outside.
Are the 3 teams, I believe, that have been in their form for all 10 seasons now. And he goes back-to-back again, trying to get another one.
Going to come up short, though. Andrew Collins makes the play in 2 quick outs here in the 2nd inning. A fly ball to Eisenhower and a fly ball to Andrew Collins.
Those 3 teams as a whole have been in the conference, I believe, since it starts. There's been some other sponsors that have helped the teams, but those 3 are the mainstays. And to think that Resmondo's been able to run the table the whole time, I know that says a lot about not only the organization and their sponsorship group, but it's a little bit, we've talked in the past, Bernie, that the conference is very similar, I think, in some ways to NASCAR. It is a sponsor-driven sport.
Line drive base hit, and Jeff Keski finally gets precision on the base pass here in the 2nd. Yeah, it's the sponsors that make all the difference and the reason why we're here.
Yeah, it does, and it's from the manufacturers, and like I've likened it when we've had some interviews with people that are trying to see it and understand it for some time. We have, if you look at NASCAR, we have Toyota and Dodge and Chevrolet, those guys that are sponsoring the cars. We have a lot of that here, where we've got Easton and Louisville and Combat and Worth and as manufacturer sponsors. But along with that, you have to have the other sponsors that come in and cover it. You're talking lots of flights and lots of travel.
Base hit there for Matt Rear. He had a double in the 1st inning, and they'll hold it first, and so they're on the corners as Precision looks to start a 2-out rally now with the top of their lineup.
So it's interesting to see, and as the game's expanded, I think a little Matty Rear swing here. Good player. Was a line drive a couple years ago. I was a little bit surprised that he got away from them. I think he's an outstanding defensive third baseman and a real nice guy. All the way around too. Everybody says he's a great teammate, great dugout guy. But I think one of the things that we see as these sponsors are coming back with nationwide, and some of the other guys as CBS coverage has expanded, and some of the other things that's going on. With USSSA and with your production companies and so forth, that we're going to see some other sponsors come into it.
Line drive for Lasky. It's fair down the line, and Precision is going to score a total of 2 runs here on the double by Lasky. It's his 2nd double of the contest, and he has 3 RBIs now. Precision up 5.
And Lasky's one of those guys we've talked about. He just keeps getting better and better and better. We always knew he could play defense, and now his offense has closed the gap as well. And we're right back to kind of like we talked about yesterday. It was a 7-2 hole after 1 that Resmondo found themselves in. They're back to
off the glove of Andy Purcell. Cannell trying to hurry the play, not in time. The throw gets away, and in will come Keith Lasky. That's one of the reasons why Andy Purcell and company, you'll see them wear that helmet mask, if you will, because that ball, it really flies coming right back up the middle.
Yeah, here we go. And Andy didn't used to. Andy was one of the last guys in the conference to go to a mask, and I know a lot of his teammates pushed him on. He's clearly been the best offensive pitcher over the years. He's a shortstop, caliber glove, pitching, but bats and balls and distances and the evolution of the athletes and so forth have kind of led us to that. And one of the things we probably should talk about is the pitcher's 50 feet away here, obviously compared to Major League Baseball, the 60 feet. Big Davis is going to go for one.
Davis Pilapello back deep, and there's plenty of room for Eisenhower to haul it in to retire the side. But 3 in on 2 outs. It's Precision up 6 as we head to the bottom of the 2nd here in Kissimmee.
Welcome back, guys. Any player in Nationwide Conference USSSA is more than welcome to wear any type of protective gear that they feel is necessary. Pitchers have been moving closer and closer to wearing face masks. As Coop and Bernie mentioned, the face mask for Andy Purcell was new this season. He added it at the Hall of Fame Classic. Talking with Andy this morning, he said it was uncomfortable at first. It took 2 or 3 tournaments for him to get used to wearing the mask. He said it was kind of an extra weight. But now that he's used to it, he feels like he can be just as strong defensively as he was without the mask.
Fight!
Bernie.
Thank you, Kristen. BJ Falk leading things off here in the second. And just as we saw Andy Purcell wear the mask, Andy Vidcat wears the mask for Precision. This one knocked down by McCullum in the infield. Nobody covering the bag. And so BJ Falk will get aboard to start the second inning.
Yeah, that's a mental break there. They've got Andy who normally makes that play. I think got caught a little bit watching the play. I think expecting Brett to make the play, and Brett will probably Brett will tell you he should have just picked it clean and taken it to the bag. But it's a case where the old spring training drills come back into play. Cover the bag, cover the bag, cover the bag.
Don DiDonatis coming to the plate here.
John.
92 runs batted in. He continues to be very consistent. He's one of 5 players who have been named to the all-conference team.
Here we go.
All 10 seasons this conference has existed. It's going to float up a little too much, and Davis Philadello is going to make the play for the first half out of left field.
Yeah, and what Junior brings you is not only the bat, but it's his glove and his leadership. I've talked for many years. If he was just there in the dugout with what he brings to the game as a leader, it's great. The fact that he's one of the best 2 or 3 shortstops of all time is just a win. But he's just a pure winner kid and leads you. And I don't think Resmondo would have had the 10-year run without him.
Here we go.
Andrew Collins at the plate. Collins going for it. Looks like he got under it a little bit, and Davis Philadello is going to make back-to-back outs out in left field.
We have a catch.
After BJ Falk got aboard.
We have 2. We have
Not
time.
the start that Resmondo wanted here in the second inning.
No, it's just getting, even the score is getting reminiscent. We saw the arm on Davis out there. We talked about he's a pitcher at Central Florida, and if you watch him throw this, he's just an amazing athlete. But yeah, Collins just down the end. He knew as soon as he hit it, he missed it.
Jeremy Eisenhower now.
Here we go.
7 times he was all conferences. This one's going to float out of play.
This is a big swing. Even though we're in the bottom of the second, I think the Resmondo wants to close this gap. The other thing that I think they're looking to win 2 here, Bernie. They didn't show up looking to win 1. They would like to, in their minds, they think they're good enough to run rule Precision, and they want to get right after it here. And what they don't want to do is play another 10 or 11 or 12 inning game like they saw yesterday, even if they come on the side, and have to play another one. So this is not close to the start they were looking for.
Well, now with 1 strike, Eisenhower had to straighten it out, and he does, and he flies out to Robert Blackburn. BJ Falk gets on board, but they leave him stranded. After 2, Precision leading 7-1 in the conference championship. It's the top of the 3rd inning. Precision leading by a score of 7-1. And Kirkwood leading things off. It's amazing how things can change as the year progresses, Coop. You take a look at these 2 teams. They face each other. This is the 9th meeting between the 2. Resmondo leads the season series 6-2. The average margin of victory for Resmondo, because they won all 4 in the first 4, 15 runs a game, but the average margin of victory the last 3 games has been 2 runs, and Precision has taken 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, and that's the game Precision has to play. They're not going to win a shootout. They want to play the game as tight as they can, steal 1 late, just like they did yesterday. If they get into a good old-fashioned, Donnybrook, that's not how they're built.
Precision based out of Chicago, Illinois, an overall record of 59-20 coming into this game. They won the B World Series, going against the 9-time Men's Major World Series champions, Resmondo. They'll be going for title number 10 later this month on the CBS Sports Network.
And this is not what they needed right here. Obviously, no matter what level you're playing at, baseball or softball, you don't want 2 quick outs. But really in this game where they've got Resmondo pushed back a little bit, they're starting to think what could be. The last thing you do is you let a 9-time champion off the ropes a little bit and let him come back in here and free swing for a second. And it wasn't a big number they need. Precision needs to fight for just 2 or 3 more to keep the pressure on.
Seth Bergmeyer singled his first time up. Come to the plate for the second time.
one of the things we're talking about, Andy's pitching from 50 feet.
Okay, here we go.
One of the other differences you may see is we're playing on a beautiful, great swing there by Bergs. We're playing on the Houston Astros spring training home. The bases are at 70 feet here.
Yep.
Disney, we play at 75. I think we should be playing at 75 here. We will, I've been told, going forward here, but one of the differences. But so dimensionally wise though, the field, the outfielders still have to play it. There's no temporary fencing, as you can see. It's a full-size major league ballpark that the Yankees play the Astros in spring training, and but we are playing at 70 feet on the base pass, and he's only standing 50 feet away from these guys, and so it definitely puts a lot of pressure on the outfield as well as the infield with the shorter bases. But for these outfielders to get to balls.
Robert Blackburn at the plate. This one sailing into left field. It held up just enough for Collins to come in. His second out of the inning. Resmondo trails by 6. They'll come to the plate, batting in the bottom of the third when we come back. Nationwide Conference USSSA on the CBS Sports Network is brought to you by Combat. Your advantage is in our DNA. By Worth, legit power, legit performance. And by DeMarini, what can you do with one swing? One of the great moments of the season, the conference banquet last night, the awards handed out, co-MVPs. It was Greg Cannell and Bryson Baker holding that title, and it's always great when you get the entire conference together after what was a spectacular year, the best of all time in Nationwide Conference USSSA. And you take a look at these athletes. This is the best of the best in slow pitch, and it's not just a weekend that they come together. These teams have been playing against each other all summer long.
Yeah, coast to coast all summer long, battles up and down, and it's great to see everybody sit in one room, and sponsors and teams and families, and it's a heck of a show that USSSA puts on at a wonderful facility, and it was a good time, I think, had by all last night. And what I also like to see is how many first-time second conference winners showed up. Second team conference, the young guys that are coming up, and there's some guys that made the first team for the first time. A young man like Chad Mullins from the Reds team.
How about Howie Krause, the Hall of Famer? He can still swing it.
Oh, here you go.
Veteran.
We'll check that.
Don't kid yourself. That's it. That is one of the best of all time right there. Part-time player for them now, part-time coach, but what he is kind of their spiritual leader. That is murdered. Outstanding baseball coach right now. That's why he's kind of a part-time player on the backside, but Howie's been doing it for a long time. But I thought last night, Bernie, it was great to see so many young guys receive awards, and guys like I was saying, Chad Mullins from the Reds, who you can see how emotional he was of finally making it to the first team after all those years of work, and some of his social media posts I saw today, and how much it means to these guys. And you saw some guys that were frustrated that, geez, I thought I was a first teamer, I thought I was a second teamer, I got, it's always, you always feel frustrated for guys like that, but you also, I think, it says a lot about what it means to them, and how important it is for these guys, and how hard they work, and how much they're on the road away from their families. And we're asking for no one to cry for them because they're doing what they get to love, but there is a lot of pride here.
Really, that one gloved by Keski back up the middle. And it's really one of those players, a 10-time all-conference. What an honor that is to be on that all-conference team all 10 years that the conference has been existed. Resmondo, it's Donatus Ruley. Those are the two. Smash It Sports has Brian Wegman, Brett Helmer, and Bryson Baker that have been named all-conference over 10 years, but just 5 players with that elite award. And we're back to a player that had probably the best season in conference history, but he's going to ground to Keski, and it's a big out there as they get Ruley and Greg Cannell after that 2-run home run by Howie Krause, and now Andy Vidcat has a chance for a quick inning here in the third.
Yeah, you get those 2 leadoff hitters, and a Hall of Famer in Dennis Ruley, a guy that's definitely on the backside, but one of the best hitters that have ever played. And right now, the reigning MVP and all-world everything. It sure makes a statement for Precision. And again, this is the game Precision wants to play. They want to play this game in the low teens. They have no ability. They shouldn't anyway. Most of the time, they're not going to have the ability on a stadium to go beat Resmondo in a 29-28 type game. They need to win one 15-14, 13-12. This is exactly what they're looking for.
Andy Purcell going for it all.
Foul!
He will hit. Oh, no, that one just goes foul. Coming off the field, Andy Purcell is trying to pump up his Resmondo team. He's mic'd up today.
Got to make that 0 hurt. Time to go. Time to go.
Here we go.
They're passionate indeed about the game, aren't they?
That's Andy. That's Mr. Purcell, no matter. There he goes. And goes backside, playing the game.
It's a big 2-out base hit because this is the middle of the lineup for Resmondo. This is where they had the opportunity to do the most damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have it. Like I said, this is playing the way that Precision wants it to. But the advantage that Resmondo has is here you have Andy. Knows he can't try to pull one down the line because a foul ball would be an out there. So he plays the big part of the yard. And Andy threw him a pitch out. Andy threw Andy a pitch on the outside a little bit, hoping that Purcell would try to yank it. And, you know, the veteran he is, he played the game, and now you got another big bat up.
Back-to-back 2-out singles. Purcell to second, Jimmy Salas to first. And now an opportunity to Bubba Mack, and this is one of the things that Resmondo has been so good at, and it's the reason why they won the conference 9 times going into this year, is that they have a knack of getting those 2-out hits and scoring the 2-out runs.
And they're painful when you're out there playing
Bob,
defense.
going hard here.
You know, it definitely hurts. You think here's our chance to get out of a cheap inning, but yeah. You may hear some of the people in the background calling him Booba. The USSSA took 2 teams up to the PIF up in Canada this year, one of the world-renowned.
Come on, Andy.
Great swing by Bubba. Going to score a run.
Left field is going to bring home Andy Purcell, the 3rd run coming in, and I think it's 7-4.
When we talk about how this was coast to coast, this year we took two teams up to Canada, and I had the privilege of coaching one of the 2 teams, and Bubba was up there playing, and it was a French-speaking announcer, and so he was trying. So all weekend he kind of fallen in love with Booba, and you hear him in the whole park. Booba Mac walk to park, and so it's kind of stuck with Bubba. I think he's probably tired of it, but you hear the guys now yelling, and maybe one of those ones that happened by accident and sticks with the guy.
Well, Bubba Mack drives home the 3rd run of the inning.
Here we go.
And Resmondo now down just 3. And BJ Folk certainly has the power to bring 3 more home here.
Yeah, he also has the power to go right in that left center gap that they're giving him right now, too. Don't be surprised if he doesn't go right out to Holiday inside, or just go right up down the pond.
Going for it all, Robert Blackburn back, and that one is gone, a home run.
Feeding the Gators. And that's what we talk about, Bernie. That's what they do. It's a boom, boom, and then the bomb. And that's the advantage they have, and that's why they're never out of a game.
BJ Folk ties it up 7-7.
If you ask around the conference who's everybody's favorite guy, it's probably Billy Joel right there. One of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. Just a good-hearted, great person, and he's the guy. There's Junior doing what Junior does.
Opposite field base hit, BJ Folk with his first home run of the tournament, and DiDonatis, he's got some wheels. He goes into second.
We have time.
He'll take a double. And as Andy Purcell said, make that 0 in the top of the inning hurt, and so far Resmondo has done that.
And these are all 2-out, like we talk about, all these 2-out runs that they've got. You know, they got the 2-run home run from Howie, and then the 2 quick outs at the top of the order. And so, you know, Precision's thinking, here we go. And now you're hoping to get through Mr. Collins.
Resmondo's used 3 of their 12 home runs that they're allotted.
Take.
And you see that Andy pitching to the outside corner. They're trying to make Collins go to the big part of the yard.
1-1. Come on, Vic. Come on, Vic.
Resmondo, they've scored all 7 of their runs today with 2 outs. Trying to tack on. It's a long run for Billadello. Comes out and it is going to fall. He was playing all the way back at the warning track.
Yeah, that's a ball right there, though, that Davis needs to turn and look at Lasky in the middle and have a little. I think both of them, I think the shortstop and their middle infielder look at each other right now going, that's our ball. I mean, that ball literally landed 40 feet from their middle infield. You can see him looking at himself knowing he made a mistake there. If you look where this ball fell, Davis didn't have a chance on this ball off the bat, and I think Lasky, who is an outstanding player who hustles all the time, just misread it as well, and he had a chance to get back there and get that ball.
Okay, so we're going to have time
so
right here.
Resmondo takes the lead.
That's the mistakes that Precision doesn't normally make right there, to be honest with you. That's the plays it seems like they make every single time. They know that's their game. Their game is to play defense, hustle all the time, and that's what they do a really good job of, and they feed off that of each other. You see each guy, feeding each other that way all year. That's a play that they make.
Check out our worth legit stat here in this game. Resmondo pouring it on here in the bottom of the third, and they have been a very explosive team here in this tournament. Entering today, they scored 101 runs, 30 home runs. They had 109 hits. That's just over 4 games. Welcome to the world of slow pitch softball.
Yeah, and that's and put that in perspective. You're playing in a stadium. You're playing in a stadium that houses, 10, 12,000 fans that watch the spring training. So this isn't on the 300-foot park, the 5-plex diamond around the house. They're doing this in a big park, and that's what they've done. That's why they've won it 9 times. Is that power? And you're right back to Jeremy Eisenhower here, who has never-ending power.
Here we go. Well, Resmondo, they're going to bat 11 here in the third.
Just missed.
Eisenhower flew out in his last plate appearance. It ended the second. 7 in the inning, and they're going to add another. Andrew Collins is going to come in to score. Eisenhower on his way to second with a double.
We have time. Still 2.
We're back to, I believe, Mr. Santana led this inning off.
So Nick Santana, he started things off with a single, came in to score on the 2-run home run by Howie Krause.
Yes, sir.
And Santana, that one is caught by a good tackle. And that'll end the inning. Resmondo, they push in 8th. They're up for the first time, leading 9-7.
Welcome back. Resmondo leading Precision 9-7. Joining me is their manager, John Rector. Now, yesterday it was an extra inning loss to Precision. What did you tell the team before the start of today's game to prepare?
Well, we've been around a long time. You really don't have to tell them anything. They're warriors. They know what they have to do. The thing that helped us out a little bit in that last inning was we got away from looking at that fence and trying to hit everything on the park. Just trying to hit it solid, get it down, get it through, and trust the guy behind you.
Well, trusting the guy behind you is what they did. What were the offensive changes between the first and third inning that led to that big inning?
Well, we got away from swinging for the fence. You know what I mean? I mean, this is a big ballpark. It's 110, 20 feet to center field, and they just got to play the game. They got to get it solid, get it down, and trust. Like again, you trust the guy behind you. Get a base hit, you get a base hit, and then the home runs will come where they will.
All right, thank you so much. Back up to you, Bernie.
Dennis Fisher leading off the first, getting on board. Jimmy Salas, he picked it well at third, but gotta like the hustle by Dennis Fisher, the veteran, racing down the first base line.
Yeah, he's their old veteran that's been around a long time. A lot of the wars going back all the way, and Fish is definitely there. You hear him, you watch this team play. He's the guy that when he kind of speaks up, everybody stops in their tracks and listens.
Pitt County's been playing in the conference for a total of 6 years. That one off the glove of DeDonatis. He's going to reach. And the first 2 aboard for Precision here as they try to answer back after that 8-run bottom of the third. I'm sure Vitak will learn as his career progresses. It's great to pitch, and it's also like Andy Purcell. He's a pitcher that really has learned to hit in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 5 years, he's turned into a premier offensive player. Before that, when Andy first came up, everybody knew how great he was defensively and what a great knuckleball he had and what an outstanding pitcher. But he definitely was not considered a top offensive player by any standards. And now, over the last 5 years, he's turned himself into a monster.
Keski's going to fly this one out to Nick Santana. Fisher will move to third. It kept to second base. Purcell really was cruising. He had retired 4 of the last 5 before the first 2 reached here in the 4th inning.
And both of those were, balls that Andy got what he wanted. He got the ground ball, and it's just good hustle all the way around. And
here's Matt Rear, 2 for 2. Doubled and scored in the first. He singled and scored in the second.
You got 1 out.
we'll see what he does. They've slotted him a little bit different. You can hear Billy Joel in the background all over. Matt's a kid that can go over. They've slotted him in the hole because he has been pulling all weekend long. We'll see if he adjusts.
Well, right to center field. And they're trying to tag and score a run, and they will.
And that's a good job there of Andy setting his defense. He slotted a little bit different than the earlier at bats. Basically tried to get Matt out of pulling everything, pulling him into the holes right there, and tried to shove it in the other hole and kind of coaxed a fly ball out of the play. And that's one of the things we talk about, Bernie, that everybody says, well, it's underhand. How do you, why does a pitcher really make a difference?
Right.
A lot of cases, it's that right there. He changed the defense right there, then pitched to what he wanted, and basically asked Matt Ruhr to do something, get him out of a groove of pulling, and try to do something that he's capable of doing, but what he wasn't locked on doing right now.
Here we go.
Keith Lasky at the plate. Underhand, it comes 20 to 25 miles an hour.
It's all deep.
To home plate, so not a 90-mile-an-hour fastball by any means. So what can you do as a pitcher, as an elite pitcher like Andy Purcell does, to make that adjustment and make it difficult for the opposition to hit?
Well, most of the top players, most of the top pitchers have great knuckleballs. So like I've told everybody, until you go stand in the box and watch that thing dance a little bit, it's a little different. But the biggest thing is, especially in these stadiums, is pitch to your defense. If you're going to play a guy to pull the ball, let's make sure we pitch the ball inside so he pulls it. Let's not throw one outside the outside corner and let him throw it into an empty hole somewhere. So that's the biggest thing is pitching. And you'll watch Andy almost every play he's going to turn and set. And these guys have been together so long. The middle infielders with Ruley and Connie and Junior. They know where he wants them in most cases. But sometimes he'll just decide he wants to pitch different, and he'll watch him turn around and change the defense. So that's the biggest thing, is to pitch to what you have there.
Brett McCullum at the plate. Precision, they've tied it up, and they're looking for more. That one well struck out to right field, and they'll hold it first and second.
We have time.
And that's the case there. You saw what he did. Andy worked away, knowing that McCullum has big power. Not that Davis doesn't, but I think Andy just at this point in life, Brett's kind of been there, done it a few more times, and he's going to put it on Davis. The ball in this park, different than like at Disney, where it definitely flies better to right field, where we played the Men's Major World Series. Here, right field's always a little bit of stagnant air. So this is the case where I think he was a little cautious with Brett, thinking I'm going to pitch him and see what happens. And Davis comes through.
Davis Villadello, they're sending Lasky. He's going to come in to score. And Precision, they're back on top, 10-9. And this is what they do well after 2 outs, back-to-back singles to drive home a run.
And I think Andy's a little upset, and I'll ask him later, but I don't think he wanted that ball quite as far outside there to give that swing to Davis. I think he was wanting Davis to pull that ball, and he got a little outside on him.
That's foul.
Dan Kirkwood, he's really climbed up the ranks in his 5 seasons that he has played with Precision. He was the offensive MVP at the D World Tournament in 2010, and here he stands now at the major level. This year is all tournament at the Smoky Mountain Classic, and he has been a huge 5-hole hitter for Precision, and he's going to drive home at least one. McCullum coming in to score. Look, here's Villadello. He's going to score as well on a 2 RBI double, and look at this, Precision with a little 2-out rally of their own.
Yeah, that's what and they're playing their game. Not a home run hit here. This is their game right now. And I agree. I think Kirkwood is one of the brightest up-and-coming players that's around, and probably headed to the major list and headed to a 10-year run at this level.
And that's what's so special about this conference, is we've seen over the last couple of years a really great transition. Obviously, there's the veterans, there's the players like Andy Purcell and the Don DiDonatises of the world that have been in this conference for so many years. But the level of play and how great the slow pitch has really invited some young players to really enjoy this game that was very popular, 20, 30 years ago. It's just as popular as ever at the major level now because of the conference.
Yeah, no doubt about that. The ball at this level wouldn't exist right now any longer. Great play, but it's talking about the old veteran, Mr. Ruley.
Here's a veteran play as Dennis Ruley will end the inning, but 5 in for Precision. They're back on top, leading 12-9 in the conference championship game.
Precision answered back with 5 runs in the top of the 4th. They now lead Resmondo 12-9. I'm joined by their manager, Todd Inke. Now, Todd, you have been a thorn in the side of Resmondo for these last few games. What is the formula to your success?
Honestly, if you ever looked at our jerseys, we don't have our names on the back of our jerseys. So we believe in playing for what's on our front of our jerseys with more than what's on our back. So every guy plays for the next guy behind him. So as opposed to being maybe selfish and trying to do some, bad things to help yourself, we all try and help our team. So I think that's it.
Well, it's definitely been a back and forth battle in this one. How do you separate and then hold on to that lead?
Honestly, these guys are impossible to separate from sometimes because they're so good. They've been in so many of these situations. We're a younger team, but honestly, I believe that our team is just as capable. We're athletic, and I think we'll be there at the end, I hope.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. We'll send it back upstairs.
Thank you, Kristen. First to hit, Howie Kraus, and he's left the yard once again.
Stay on it, Moose.
That's the first run scored by Resmondo, not with 2 outs. As we check out our combat action analysis, they've had the clutch hits early today. It started with Howie Kraus. This is the home run his last time up.
There's nothing you can do with Howie. I mean, and I like the Billy Joe sounding off a little bit. They're feeding the Gators, but both of those are just perfect swings, and there's Izzy playing the game backside. So yeah, that's very interesting. Though we go into this late in the game and we don't have a run without 2 outs.
In the bottom of the lineup, they've been very good. It's uncharacteristic to see that Resmondo, they are 8 for 12 at the bottom of the lineup with 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in, and 5 runs scored. The top of the lineup for Resmondo, they're now just 2 for 7 after that ground out by Dennis Ruley.
Yeah, to see Dennis go 0 for 3 to start a game, that's pretty rare. He's probably had games where he's had 6 or 7 hits in more times than he's had a game where he started 0 for 3.
I can imagine stopping this guy, Greg Cannell. He's 0 for 2 in the contest. A guy that had an .811 on-base percentage. Incredible, but he is now going to go 0 for 3 as well. Dennis Fisher over to Brett McCullum for the out.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Precision looking to become the first Class A team to win the conference championship since Taisha Suncoast Reebok did it in 2012. All the rest of the conference champions have been major teams, including Resmondo, who has won 3 out of the last 4 conference championship tournaments.
Yeah, the stadiums have traditionally been built for quote-unquote major teams, and I've been on record all year and that I think Precision is that. I don't think, like I think Todd made his case there. It's not about the guy's name on the back of your jersey. It's about the whole, and I agree with him completely on that. And that's why when I say I believe that they're a major team, not an A team, because maybe you don't look at the 1 or 2 big name players that the people don't know yet, household name type things, and look at the collective, and their collective tells you by where they're standing here, what they've done at the Smoky, what they've done all year long. They're a major team.
They're trying to get Andy Purcell for the first time of the contest. He homered back in the first, singled and scored in the third, and he hits this one well, and it's going to roll all the way to the wall. And Andy Purcell will hold at second.
And that's always one of the tough things, Bernie. We went through this last year a little bit with Precision in their classification.
We got 2 outs.
People want to kind of get upset with associations. How can you classify teams this way? Well, they were well under the major player limit. And how it works is there's a ranking system out there, and if you have 5 major players, or above 5 major players, excuse me, you become a major team. So what's happening is we've had so many of these great young athletes coming in out of minor league baseball.
Oh my goodness!
There's one of them right there in Davis.
Davis Bilardello, a sliding grab to end the 4th. Howie Kraus with a run, but how about Bilardello ending the threat to retire the side? Precision, they remain on top.
Better be on our side.
Saul, 12-10, top 5.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Get 5, let's go. Get our number. Get our number.
Where's the room?
Get our number.
33. Yeah, 33 for 7. Saul, we got 33 for 7.
Out.
I got the same one at home.
Quiet work yesterday. Yeah, I'll take a water, sir.
Hey, where's that?
Hey. Come on, Sam.
Yeah. That's 10 seconds here. Okay, you can start to get ready. Okay, here we go.
Andy Brazil back to the field. It's Precision leading 12-10 as we bring you back for the 5th inning. Seth Bergmeyer leading things off. He's a perfect 2 for 2 today at the plate. He hits a towering shot on this one.
Yes,
It's
sir!
out of here, a home run. That's the first home run of the contest for Precision.
Yeah, and to finish the thoughts in the last inning, Bernie, when we talk about how we classify these teams and how it deals with what's happened is there's such an influx right now of great young talent that's coming in from minor league baseball and Division I, Division II baseball, coming in from from college football programs and basketball programs. I think one of the things that they're looking at is how do we classify these teams? How do we deal with it? Because it's hard. It's hard to stay on top of all of this influx of great young talent that's coming into the game.
Well, one of the great things about slow pitch softball is obviously these are the elite of the elite, but during the course of Nationwide Conference USSSA, they play in some big tournaments where even a team classified as a C can come out and play against some of the best.
Yeah, and you'll see some of the people say, I don't know why you let those teams in there. They're fodder, or they're cannon fodder, or they're they're this and stat patters and what. Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why you do it. One of them is a lot of those guys are looking to be exposed. A lot of those C teams have players on there that are trying to.
Grounded and beat Natus and picked by Novak at first base after the home run, 2 groundouts.
You have a lot of guys that are trying to get shown, and also some of these sponsors we've talked about earlier. This is a sponsor-driven sport. Some of these so-called C sponsors, D sponsors, and so forth that show up here. Some of these guys that were sponsoring. C and B teams 2 and 3 years ago are now sponsoring major teams. They're involved in those. So it's no different than, like, again, to use the NASCAR comparison, you have the lower levels. A lot of those sponsors are trying to find ways to partner up with somebody and get to the next level.
Right.
You've got, and it's the same thing we have here. So many of these players, like you said, Kirkwood was the D, well, not B, the D MVP a couple years ago.
Oh my goodness, Andrew Collins, it looked for sure like it was going to be the final out, but he lost it up in the air, and Andy Vitkat finds himself at second base.
And that's a ball that AC normally makes. You can see him shaking his head. That's, you're cheating a little bit because Andy doesn't have a huge consistent pop, but that's a ball, he got turned 2 different ways from Sunday, and he knows he's got to make that play.
And so the inning continues, and Precision with a chance to drive home a run with 2 outs. They're up by 3, but with Resmondo as the home team, you know that no lead is safe. This one is going to be caught by Santana out in center field, and that will end the threat. Seth Bergmeyer with the first home run of the contest for Precision. They lead at 13-10 as we move on to the bottom of the 5th.
Double or a homer, Bubbles.
Doing well. Oh, yeah. Good. But if you do me 10 seconds, I know as soon as you come back, he's ready to go. I just get in the box. Saul, we got Saul, 13-10. Todd, 13-10. Thank you. He's going to get your good side, so go sit down over there. Okay.
Coming up next, CBS Sports Network hits the lanes for bowling action in the Bullmore AMF U.S. Women's Open, a sports spectacular presentation right here on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Precision on top here in the bottom of the fifth. They are up 13-10 over Resmondo. Plenty of outs left for this explosive team, as it'll be Bubba Mack, BJ Folk, and Don DiDonatis due up here in the sixth inning.
Here we go. Come on, Bubba, let's go.
For the first time, there will be a women's major World Series that USSSA will host as well. So they are expanding the level up. First, it started obviously 10 years ago with the conference, with USSSA really investing in the men's major program, but now the women's major is.
Yeah, it's obviously here at CBS we're excited to broadcast the U.S. Women's Bowling Open later, and hopefully someday we'll be able to do that with the women's major World Series of slow pitch as well. It's awesome. It's the first year of it. We heard a lot of people say, are there that many women's team out there that will qualify and travel and do everything? So we wanted to make it the same as when the men started to have 16 teams qualify for it. We had 16 teams. We had more teams that wanted in. And so I think it's a big statement of what's happening over there. And again, like we talked about with the men, the influx of talent. There is an amazing amount of Division I girls and Division II and III that want somewhere else to play. And you know that, Bernie, with CBS broadcasting so much of the MPF and the fast pitch stuff this year, those girls, when that ends, they want to play. They've been playing it their whole life. They're not ready to just stop and go home and forget their bat and ball and cleats.
Well, that's the great thing about slow pitch softball, is this is a lifelong sport. Obviously, these are players in their prime, but as long as they live, if they want to play this game, they have an opportunity to play slow pitch softball.
You've got 50 and over Worlds coming up in a couple of weeks, and 60s and 70 Worlds, and it's top down. But what we're seeing is this influx of talent to come back to drive it, and surely participation's down over the heights because there's a lot of other alternative things out there that exist. But what we're seeing is the top has gotten so good.
Ground ball to Fisher. He goes to second and gets BJ Folk. So DiDonatis is aboard on a fielder's choice.
And I'm obviously, we're very excited about the women's major program, and I can't hardly wait for it to get here.
Andrew Collins at the plate going up against Andy Vidcat. It all starts with a dream, and you take a look at a player like Andy Vidcat out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. After his freshman year of college, he quit baseball and he started his own D softball team.
Here we go.
He watched the Dudley, which was one of the big tournaments that Nationwide Conference USSSA goes to since he was 16 years old. And he said he never forgets how much fun that it looked. And so that's one of the big reasons why he got involved in the sport.
We have time.
It's a long road up, obviously, to play at this level, but it certainly is obtainable.
No, and that's, again, obviously the Minnesota area, which everybody thinks is funny, that someplace that's covered under ice and snow half the season, is a hotbed for softball, has for forever. And the Dudley up there is a world-famous tournament that Warren Bell's run for many, many years. And there's a lot of guys that have come out. There's a lot of great players that have come out of that. Some of the greatest teams and coaches have come out of that area. And Andy's surely trying to cut a path to be the next one.
Here we go.
Jeremy Eisenhower now. And Eisenhower hits this one well. Dan Kirkwood on the run. This one could be trouble, and it is going to get down. Andrew Collins in to score as Eisenhower goes to third.
Yeah, and we've talked about kind of the transition of the players, Bernie, these young players coming up, and there's an example right there of, two of the best players that came out of there, Scott Brown and Gino Burdick, have retired and gone off and now are watching softball, where we've got guys like Andy coming out of the Minnesota area, and we're seeing that transition all over right now, and that's why we're talking about, classifying these teams and finding these athletes. It's getting tougher and tougher because there's a guy that shows up at the park and you didn't know exactly who he was, and then you watch him play 3 innings and realize this guy has a future, and it's exciting. It's really exciting times right now.
Nick Santana 1 for 2.
One strike.
Looking to bring home Jeremy Eisenhower and give Resmondo a 1-run lead. They've done the majority of the game with 2 outs, and
here we go.
So far they're bringing home the runs here in the bottom of the 5th with just 1 out.
I'm staying here.
They get the pop up here, and it's going to be called for, and Eisenhower will come in easily to score and make it 14-13. Gotta love the hustle there at third by Izzy.
So Resmondo has retaken the lead. It is 14-13.
Now Howie Kraus coming to the plate. What has he done? Nothing but home runs so far in this one.
Yeah, Moose is a legend, to say the least. And like we talked about, again, a perfect guy. He's grooming guys to play this game. He's a college baseball coach back at home, and a really good one from what I've been told, and it doesn't surprise me.
Here we go. Catch a miss, fish.
He had 27 home runs during the course of the regular season.
There's many guys that have told me that if there was one guy up in a spot to win a game, that it would be Howie Kraus. Jeff Wallace, the Hall of Fame Hall of Fame player who's now turned manager of Team Combat, who played with Howie for many, many years, has told, you always get in those conversations, who's the best ball striker, no different than the MLB conversations, but he tells me all the time if he needed one guy to take one swing, it would be Howie Kraus.
With a swing there, he gets a 2-out single, and he brings back the top of the lineup. This is the part that's really struggled. The top two players for Resmondo, Dennis Ruley and Greg Cannell. Today they are combined 0 for 6.
Looks like we got Yates going to come in and run for Howie, and I would imagine we'll stay in the lineup, probably in defensive, which strengthens our outfield. He's one of the best defensive outfielders in the game. So you steal 3 real good swings with Howie, and now you send in a guy who is very accomplished offensively too, but is one of the better outfielders in the game. See if
Dennis Ruley. That one's going to get down. His first hit of the ball game.
We have time.
And they're on the corners, looking to add to this 1-run lead here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
And here's a shock. I mean, it's hard to believe that Connie can go 0 for 4. It seems like he didn't make 4 outs on the entire season. So, this is...
Okay, we're going to have time right here. We have 2.
And Precision, they want to try to slow things down here because they are right in the heart of this contest, down by only a run here in the bottom of the 5th.
This may be a case where, it's hard to think that you would kind of pseudo pitch around a guy that's 0 for 3. Obviously not something you would see in a traditional baseball game, especially with a player of Andy Purcell standing behind him. But Todd may be discussing, hey, do we want to kind of pitch around here a little bit, or do we want to get to Andy? How it's just hard to believe Connie can go 0 for 4. But
if I don't, tell him.
Well, this is the Triple Crown winner for the first time in conference history, getting set to check into the box.
Okay, but it's not going to be Chick-fil-A.
He had 133 home runs on the regular season, over 300 runs batted in, and he got on base. His on-base percentage was over 800, so that means 8 out of 10 times he's going to get on board. So you can tell what he's due for if he's 0 for 3, right?
Right, and it's not like it's not like Connie, is only going to throw it to right field. There's maybe a chance he throws this out into right field of the ballpark behind this right now and get a little separation here for Resmondo. So
here we go.
Good timeout by Todd, and let's see if it pays out.
Outside.
And you can see that he's going to work away. If he's going to give up something, he's going to try to give up a base hit, not a 3-run homer here. Yeah, I think
20.
I wouldn't be shocked if this pitch lands in the identical same spot.
Back up the middle, a base hit. And Vidcat knows he missed an opportunity there. Resmondo, they're up 2 now, 15-13.
Yeah, that's a ball. It's easier to say you're supposed to field it with standing 50 feet away, but I think he also was a little frustrated. He wanted that ball just a little bit further out there to either if he walked him, but what he did, he accomplished something. He kept the guy in the yard after 133 home runs on the season. He kept him in the yard. So that's step 1 of this little battle here.
Here we go.
Now against a player that's a perfect 3 for 3. He's a triple away from the cycle. He's got a home run, a single, and a double. He's got the wheels to get a triple.
If someone falls down.
Go ahead.
They're going to walk Purcell, and that'll load the bases for Jimmy Salas.
1 or 2, amigo.
And that's a face-off balls, Brady.
Yeah, I don't think that clearly wasn't, Jimmy Salas can hurt you here too. It's a pick a poison lineup, right? It's not like, hey, if we can get around this guy, we've got a spot here, get around them. You look at their on base percentages, top to bottom across the board, and it's
Come on, Jim.
It's mind-boggling sometimes. And it's that way with a lot of these top teams here. It's how good they are.
Resmondo, they batted all the way around for the second time in the contest. That one hit sharply, though, and Lasky will dump it over to second. But Resmondo, they do their damage. They are back on top with 2 innings to play, up 2.
Get to 20, we win this game. Get to 20, we win this game. I thought you read it well. I watched it Facebook.
Welcome back. Resmondo retakes the lead 15-13 over Precision. Well, it was a scary moment at last year's Men's Major World Series for Robert Blackburn. He had to find himself in the ER, suffering from some heart issues. That eventually led to his retirement from this game. He said, though, after a lot of work, trying to figure out how to deal with his illness, he realized he missed this game too much and needed to find a way back. Around the Maryland tournament this year, he said, if I could drive to a tournament, I was going to make it there. So he found a team that was willing to bring him on for spot appearances. He told me this morning that he played in 4 tournaments, but it's because of this game and because of the feeling he gets when he holds that bat that he is not ready to put it down no matter what illness he is facing. Bernie.
Well, ground out there, Matt Rear grounds out. And you take a look at a player like Robert Blackburn. He has had a tremendous career playing in Nationwide Conference USSSA, and certainly he's gotten bit by the bug.
Yeah, he's a great player. I think he's a former batting title winner over the years, and Robo's a good player. His family loves softball. His dad drives the tournaments with him, and some of the issues he just wasn't comfortable flying. So it's tough to have that schedule. So he found a team that down the stretch thought a veteran like that could help him. He definitely has helped him, obviously, as we can tell.
Well, this isn't the start that Precision had hoped for. Down by 2 runs here in the top of the 6th. Andy Purcell being Andy Purcell gets 2 ground outs back to back. And now that'll bring Brett McCullum to the plate.
Hey, work hard to score here. Work hard to score. Go, Brett. Give me some going here, Brett.
Precision, they need a hit. Especially with the fact that they are now down to just a total of 4 outs in this championship game. In Resmondo, they still have 6 outs remaining. McCullum going for it all. This one could be trouble. It does stay in the yard, but it'll be extra bases. He's on his way to third. Here comes the throw-in by Andrew Collins, and a triple for Brett McCullum. As Precision trying to do it now with 2 outs.
Yeah, that's a big swing here by Davis. Even if they don't add anything more than the McCullum run, just not to throw up a blank. The blanks are the problems in the stadium. Just 1 or 2 here, because again, that we knew they were going to try. They were going to try to play this game this way, down to a 1-2 run game, and you've got one of your future stars up here. He needs to give him something.
Davis Villardello, 2 for 3. Tripled and scored in the first, singled and scored in the 4th, and he's going to get a single here to drive home Brett McCullum. That's an important run here.
It's a huge run. It's a huge run not to throw that goose egg up there and keep the dream alive.
Stepping into the box, here's the center fielder, number 3 from Phoenix, Arizona, Dan Kirkwood.
Like we talk about, here's the young man that was just a couple years ago the DMVP and standing in a big spot in the 6th inning of the conference championship. So when I hear all these guys say, "Oh, it's how do I get a chance?" or "Where do I get a chance?" or nobody gets it, I think it's a perfect example of yes, they do. Keep working at it, and people are always watching.
This one has a long way, but the yard will hold it. It is hauled in, side retired. Precision gets one back, but it's Resmondo up by a run. Moving on to the bottom of the 6th.
When we're done. Come on, Bob.
15-14, our Deemerny difference maker today, none other than Andy Purcell. Let's listen in.
I know, but he's floating it, so you're jumping. I mean, I was jumping too. You got to sit back with 2 strikes. He's floating there. He's not trying any fast. One first pitch strike, the next one might be a fastball, but 2-2, 100% is coming a floater. Extra high, so you got to sit and be ready. Yeah.
He knows his strategy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a pitcher helping out, knowing how he's going to pitch, and what he's talking about as a floater is he's throwing a knuckleball that's floating a little bit, so you're jumping out and getting on your front foot instead of sitting back on that back leg and waiting for it to come to you. And we talked about the change of speed. Yeah, you can't throw a fastball in the perception of overhand, but what we are looking for is Davis on another sprint.
Villardello gets there, and that's a big out, getting Bubba Mack, who hit a home run just an inning ago to start an inning where they brought 11 to the plate, bringing home 5 runs.
And so what he's talking about is the extra high is he's working the top and the bottom of the zone. So one of the big things you can do as a pitcher out there is change the speed, change the eye level. No different than goes on in the other games, but it's definitely great to have a Hall of Fame pitcher like Andy Purcell in your dugout from an offensive standpoint to work through those and let you know what the pitcher is trying to do to you.
Here we go. More down.
BJ Falk into the corner, it gets out just enough.
Here, BJ, 4 out of 4, 2 home runs in the game. He makes it.
It's his second home run, and Resmondo is up by 2. Big swing there.
Big man from North Carolina right there.
That'll bring up
Here we go.
Don DiDonatis to the third. Philip Jr., the son of the CEO of USSSA. He's had a big game here. He's in at second once again, looking to score for the 3rd time.
We've talked about that before, Bernie. I think being the son of the CEO of USSSA has almost hurt Junior a little bit. That there's been a perception of things, and if his last name was Smith and had never met Senior, he would be a shortstop on
Resmondo
or one of the top 1 or 2 teams. I mean,
he'd still be outstanding.
He's
the best of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I know it's one of those things that we've had this conversation. It's tough. I think sometimes it's tough to be in that spot. He's the heart and soul of this team for 10 years. He was the heart and soul of the mountaintop teams before he came up here, winning A world titles multiple times. He's a stone cold winner, both offensively, defensively, but more than impressively the leadership that he brings.
Andrew Collins, we have liftoff. Wow. That one goes 393 feet. That's the complex the Astros work out of during spring training.
That's a nice thing about having your 3D trackology here. It actually tells you where that ball landed, and that is a long, long, long ways.
Wow.
He knew it. No reason to go anywhere.
Here we go.
Got to have some good windows there. Yeah. Up the play by Keith Lasky reaching up and grabbing that one.
Those are big runs. Those bottom of the 6th, the add-on there. Those are big add-on runs, and maybe just enough to get them home and force an if game here today. And like we've talked about, it's a two-sided coin. Precision would love to be a team that proves that they can win in the stadium rolling into the major World Series, and Resmondo clearly wants that #1 seed back.
Base it there. Nick Santana.
This might be 4.
Look at this.
This
He's got
might
the
be
wheels.
4.
They're holding him at third.
Game time. Got him back in. You got 2 outs.
And it looks like Howie Krause has to re-enter, so Krause re-entering Yates.
So Howie's going to come back in and hit for Yates, who that's one of the rules we have is a re-entry rule. He can do this one time. So Yates came in and ran for him, played an inning of defense. Now Howie's going to come back in and hit. So if he was to be removed from the game again, he would be burned. He wouldn't be allowed to go back in. So a little different than Major League Baseball or traditional baseball, where if you're out, you're out.
Is that a big game? 3 for 3.
Here we go.
Yes. Yes.
Good pitch by Andy right there.
Howie Krause trying to make it 19-14 Resmondo. It's a ball and a striker essentially.
Here we go.
Goes as 2-2 for those of you that know baseball. That pitch that's low will make it a 3-2 count, so this ball has got to go someplace. There will have to be an outcome, and the outcome is going to be a ground ball that eats up Lasky, tries to stay with it, and Howie Krause will slide in safely at first. Santana is going to come in to score, and it is 19-14 now.
Great hustle by the veteran, and the follow-up, the re-entry. Yates, who didn't start the game, cannot come back in now, so only a starter can be re-entered. So they can't use Yates to run for Howie now, but outstanding hustle all the way by the big man.
I think he started the trip.
And you might have heard the microphone pick up.
His trip turned into a headfirst slide.
Andy Purcell making a little fun of the old veterans. I'm not sure you didn't trip that into a headfirst dive down there, so having a little fun at the veterans' expense.
It's all about the hustle, right?
All about the hustle, and you will never, ever, ever, I can promise you that, doubt Howie Krause's hustle in her heart.
He's got to dirty the jersey up. Keski will grab it, and oh my goodness, Fisher can't get a glove on it. That should have been the final out of the inning. And it continues.
And you can hear the Resmondo bench maybe in the background yelling, "You can't teach speed, Howie. You can't teach speed." And a great stop. It's a really good feed. He just took his eye off it to try to find the bag. And the problem with that play, it's bad enough that it extends the inning, but it's really bad enough to extend the inning, and the Triple Crown winner's the one walking into the box right now.
4 already in here in the bottom of the 6th. It's a 19-14 lead. And Greg Cannell trying to do what he did all season long. This one back, and it is not catchable by Dan Kirkwood, but it will come down. And they're trying to bring home 2, and they will. So the misplayed infield ball where Dennis Fisher couldn't grab it produces at least 2 more runs on the double by Greg Cannell.
And there's a couple plays there in this game that's not typical precision because they're so good at those. But that's what separates when a team has the power that Resmondo has to come get you. You know, there was the ball that I think Lasky should have went back on, or Keski, one of the two that I think both of them will tell you that they should have broke back on that fell in front of Davis that extended that inning, and obviously the ball there that was just a mistake. They happen, but that's the plays that precision has to make to play with these guys, and that comes back to where precision, those guys say, well, maybe we're not quite a major team yet, we're a tweener because we can't fight the fire with the fire. We have to be perfect to win. So this is an example of what happens when you don't quite have the firepower and you don't play perfect defensively.
Andy Purcell looking to tack on to this 21-14 lead. They're already up 7 and add 2 more. Try to set it onto another field there. You see that one carried 414 feet.
It's a monster. In these conditions, that's a monster. Well, and the other thing is now what's happened is you've let them, the pressure's off, they're free swinging. You have put yourself in a real bad spot.
Bad, Jim, we're not
just going to stand in here and let them fly. And
Work. We're feeling it now. Come on now.
Base hit. It's the 3rd time in the contest that Resmondo has brought 11 to the plate.
And they're probably lucky that there's 2 outs because we're still, even though it's a conference final, playing a run rule, Bernie. So it's 15 after 5, and
here we go, Bubba.
2 out runs, Bubba.
A game that
2 out runs right here.
You know, nip and tuck. This is what can happen when you're playing them, is how fast it can get away when you don't make a couple plays, because you know they're lurking. If there was 1 out here, you'd really think the run rule would, might quite come into play here, but it still may.
What did you think my last one was going? What's up? You think my last one was going? When it was off your bat, I didn't. But then I saw it spinning. I was like, I think close. Yeah, I know.
With precision, they defeated Resmondo in the winner's bracket final. So that means that Resmondo needs to win 2 to win this conference championship. And they've certainly done their job. And host Adam Shine brings his unmatched enthusiasm to a whole new level on his nightly show full of strong opinions and high energy. Time to Shine, weeknights at 6 Eastern right here on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Bubba Mack made the first out of the inning. But he's not going to make the last, at least on that swing.
Go, Bob. Go, better. Keep it hard. And aggressive. I like it. I like it, Bob. Come on, Bob.
Resmondo, they've scored 14 runs today with 2 outs.
Those are painful. Those are just incredibly painful.
Good
Bubba
spot.
Mack finds the spot.
Shopping at the gap.
Salas will come in to score. Bubba Mack on his way to 3rd.
We have time.
It's to be a bit tricky because you said they are closing in on potentially closing this thing on with a run rule of 15 after 5.
And this is what, this is honestly what Resmondo was hoping for a couple of innings ago, but that just to get off the field, get a little water in him and try to play another one. It's we saw this earlier in the year where we saw the F games and a 40-some run scored in them, and the Heat taking over here at what seems like yesterday, but I guess we were here 4 months ago to start the season off, and they'll take 1 extra inning off if they can get it.
BJ Falk. They have found their groove indeed. That's the 9th home run, and 3 out of the 9 have been hit by BJ Falk.
Yeah, the 2 old veterans, BJ and Howie Krause, have chipped in 5 of the home runs, and that's why they are who they are. Effortless swing by the big man. Showing us his Superman pose there. Like we said, one of the best sense of humors of anybody you'll meet, Bernie.
Lasky across the diamond, and they get DeDonatis, and that ends the inning. But a huge extra out given up by Dennis Fisher, and probably the biggest moment of the inning, Andrew Collins with a huge home run. They score 11. It's 26-14 Resmondo. Well, it's the Nationwide Conference USSSA Championship here from Osceola County Stadium with Don Cooper, Kristen Bedard, Bernie Gunther with you in Precision. They find themselves down to their final 3 outs in this one. But the good news they have is they will still need Resmondo to defeat them one more time because they came in as the undefeated team here in this tournament. And Kurt Stewart wastes no time. Just the second home run of the game for Precision.
What's the old cliche? It's not over till it's over, Bernie?
We've seen some big innings in your time.
We've seen some big innings in our times, yeah. If this was a 300-foot park with the amount of home runs they have left, I'd say, hey, this thing's far from over, buddy. You know, a 10-12 run inning in these stadiums, you know, they do happen, but they are rare.
So that last home run by Kurt Stewart traveled 432 feet. This is Seth Bergmeyer at the plate. He hit a home run his last time up, and he sends this one into center field, where it is going to be tracked down by Santana for the first out.
Fly ball to center field. Santana there gathers, so 1 out. And now into the box it will be the catcher, number 33 from
Gary Lofton at the plate. Came in the place of Robert Blackburn.
Come on, Gary.
Another one of the, like we talked about, young up-and-coming players that's kind of cutting his teeth and making a path.
All right. Come on, Gary.
First pitch by Andy Purcell, a little short. And Lofton skies this one out, and it is going to be caught by Andrew Collins.
high fly left field, and Collins back left. He gathers
And so the final hope for Precision is Dennis Fisher.
Stepping into the box, looking to extend the game, Dennis Fisher.
All right. Hey, go with it now. Go with it now.
Cold strike. Base hit. Fisher is aboard for the second time in the contest.
That's their big veteran. Fish has been doing it a long, long time.
Precision will look back, and they just couldn't get out of 3 big innings. Resmondo brought 11 or more to the plate in the 3rd, the 4th, and then of course 11 in the 6th. Some big dents pushed across by Resmondo.
Yes, sir.
As this is a game that was going Precision's way to begin, but it's going to end in favor of Resmondo. They win it. A final score of 26-15, as Andy Purcell and company are going to force the if necessary game here in Nationwide Conference USSSA. We will wrap things up from Kissimmee when we come back. Resmondo a winner. Well, Resmondo, they use a huge inning, 11 in the bottom of the 6th, as they go on to win 26-15. Kristen Bedard is down in the winning dugout with Resmondo.
Well, guys, joining me is veteran Resmondo player Howie Kraus. Now, Howie, we saw all-out play from you in that last inning, especially that slide at first base. How does that kind of affect the team with your all-out play?
Well, first off, I don't know if it was a slide or a crash, but it was effective, I guess. You know, you just, at all times, no matter how your day is going, whether you're having a good day, bad day, you could always hustle. So I thought it was going to be a close play at first base, and I figured I'd go ahead first, try to beat the throw, and it worked out. And if I could spark plug my team at the same time and get them fired up and score some runs, then it's a win-win for everybody.
You have been on this Resmondo team and playing the game for a very long time. What types of words of wisdom do you provide them in the dugout throughout the game to kind of help keep them focused and in and ready to go at all times?
Well, you know, I still like to play the game. I love to compete. You know, and you play the game for 22 years, you learn a lot of stuff along the way, and every game's different, you know, so depending on the situation, you know, whatever it is, you could just keep your teammates up, keep pushing them, keep fighting, never out of any game, all that good stuff. You know, it all goes with the situation, and hopefully you come out on top.
Well, you guys forced the if game against Precision. A lot riding on this next game. If you walk away as a winner in this next one, you get the #1 seed at the Men's Major World Series. Does the pressure affect you guys at all, or is it just a normal day at the office?
Well, it is a big game. You know, you do want that #1 seed. As far as pressure goes, if you play hard every game, there's no such thing as pressure. You approach every game the same way. You know, even though this is a big game, there is no doubt about it. You know, we do want the #1 seed, but we're going to go out there and just do our jobs as usual, you know, just like it was a game in April. You know, you get after it, you play hard, and like I said, everything works out right. You come out on top, and we're the #1 seed.
Well, thanks, Howie. I'm sure people at home enjoyed watching you slide into first base and watching Resmondo take this first game. We'll send it back upstairs to Bernie.
But what a performance today by Howie Krause. He hit a home run in the 3rd and a home run in the 5th as Resmondo went on to a 26-15 win against Precision. We got to play one more game on a hot summer day. You got to load up for sure.
Yeah.
With a little fruit.
Especially when you're the center fielder like Mr. Santana is there. We've seen some of these guys that wear the tracking devices now playing in these stadiums down here in the duels that are literally over the weekend getting 19 to 22, 23 miles ran. So it's kind of a contest a bunch of them have with the tracking devices.
Well, Andy Purcell, a great come-from-behind win for Resmondo. They used a huge 11-run 6th inning. Here he was earlier, mic'd up after the last out.
One more. One more. One more. One more.
Let's check in with Kristen Bedard, who's down with Andy Purcell.
Well, Andy, you are definitely one of the voices on this team. How does your intensity help this team?
I just try to keep everybody up, and sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But you know, I just try to keep everybody motivated, basically.
Well, you motivate them not only with your voice and what you have to say, but what you do on the field. Offensively, you got things started with that solo home run, and then by the end of it, they were just pounding it on. How did everything get started for you guys?
I think we started slow. We start slow a lot for some reason. They got a good team. They got a good pitcher. He keeps us off balance a little bit. So, but we tend to start slow, and once we get going, it's hard to stop us sometimes.
So, pitcher to pitcher, have you guys started to figure out what Andy Vitsat does best against your hitters?
Yeah, we're figuring it out, but he's still doing the right thing. He's doing the right. He knows how to pitch, so he knows the hitters. He knows what they like, what they don't like, and he's doing a good job of keeping us, not giving us what we want.
You guys have definitely gone back and forth with Precision. The last few times you've played them, how do you slow their hitters down, especially being one of the best on the mound?
Well, they play the game. They don't try to. The power guys hit their power. The basic guys hit their base hits. They don't change their game, which is what they're supposed to do. So just got to try to make them hit something different and let my defense make some plays. But they do a good job of hitting the ball around.
We know the next game is a big one. How do you guys prepare?
We're ready. I mean, we know we got to win this to be the 1 seed. That's our goal, to be the 1 seed at Disney. So we'll do everything we can to get this thing taken care of.
All right, thank you so much, Andy. We'll send it back to you, Bernie.
Andy Purcell with a huge performance today, helping his team to a 26-15 win. Still more to come from Kissimmee, Nationwide Conference USSSA. Coming up at the top of the hour, CBS Sports Network hits the lanes for bowling action in the Bullmore AMF U.S. Women's Open. A sports spectacular presentation right here on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Resmondo with a big 26-15 win. They force the if game. Precision, though, they have a chance to still be the champions of Nationwide Conference USSSA. And Krista Bedard is down in the dugout trying to find out what adjustments that Precision will try to make before they go into this if game.
Well, Andy, you did a great job slowing down Resmondo's bats in the first part of this game, and then in the end, they really put up a large number. What adjustments need to be made going into the second game?
Basically, just from pitching standpoint, I need to hit my spots a little better, and then basically we just have to come in and apply pressure on the offensive side. Defense, we're always what we are, but if we apply pressure offensively and I hit my spots, I like our chances.
Well, Andy Purcell is definitely known as one of the best inside that circle, but you guys have been giving him such a hard time. hitting all parts of the field, getting on base, scoring. How do you continue to do that and separate against this Resmondo team?
Basically, we just keep trying to hit our gaps, play our game, and our game really isn't the power game. We're young, we're athletic, we like to spray the ball around, and when you're facing him, I mean, let's face it, he's the best in the game. I mean, he's earned it, so we got a tough task when you go against him, but I believe we can take him down.
You guys are standing in front of a very large door. If you're able to go through this, you take down Resmondo in the conference championship game. How big of a moment is this next game?
It's a big game. I mean, you're playing for a ring. I mean, that's what we kind of all play for, and winning jewelry is always fun. I'm sure you attest to that. So, but that's what we're playing for, and to beat them, it says a lot. To beat them 2 out of 3 in this tournament, they're expected to win. We're not, so we'll see what we can do.
Well, this Precision team has come a long way in 3 years, especially last year making the run that you guys did. What would be the ultimate goal for Precision?
Win everything we play. That's our goal. We take the field. We want to win every team that's in front of us. We don't care if it's A Worlds, Major Worlds, Cincinnati, Chicago, whatever. If you're ahead of us, we want to beat you, and that's it. So our goals are always the same, win the tournament.
So then break down what needs to be done in this next game, step by step for me.
Step by step, hit, catch the ball, throw the ball, you know, baseball cliches. That's what it's going to take. Play the Precision way.
All right, Andy. Bernie, you hear it. They want to play the Precision way. We'll see what happens.
Sweeping the nation.
Precision. They're trying to move in front of Backman Shop, Smash It Sports. They were the regular season champions with 1,556 points. No matter what happens, they'll be the regular season champions, but the win by Resmondo potentially in game number 2 would make Resmondo the #1 seed in the Men's Major World Series that we'll have later this month on the CBS Sports Network.
Yeah, I think it means a lot. One, you know, from the seeding that we see, you're the home team off the seed, so that means something. But also, I think just mentally for Resmondo, it's been a long time since they've walked into that park not the #1 seed. I think it means something to them from a pride standpoint. It means something to them from a mental standpoint. You know, obviously Smash It's a little bit disappointed not being here in the end, as well as the other teams. You know, but you've got 5 really good teams there that are going to be seeded out, and quite frankly, there's 5 or 6 teams below that. I think it's the strongest field in many, many years to show up there. You're seeing this as the Precision team that thinks they can win this game. They've proven they can win this game. You know, we talked about it last year. I don't know if there's a clear-cut favorite.
Well, Precision, they'll have a chance to win it. It'll be live on USSSAlive.com. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll have the Bullmore AMF UF Women's Open. A huge win for Resmondo. They win it 26-15 for Don Cooper, Krista Bedard, and our entire CBS Sports Network crew. I'm Bernie Gunther. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Be sure to join us at the top of the hour for the Bullmore AMF US Women's Open from North Brunswick, New Jersey.